Hi, it's Dr. Lori. I'm back with Rants and Raves. You know, I've been doing this for years and years and years, decades, I hate to tell you. And basically, this episode is going to help you with selling because these are the questions I've been getting over and over and over again for decades that still you guys are not getting it through your heads. So I want you to get through your heads. I think it's going to help you when you're reselling. So here we go. I have gotten this type of question I literally for nearly 25 years. Hi, Dr. Lori. You know, nobody seems to want my furniture. I've been told it's worth $25,000, $50,000. I've been told it's worth a lot of money, but when I go, I want to sell it. Nobody seems to want it. They say, oh, it's not in vogue, or it's in the eye of the beholder, or, you know, timing has to be right. All of these are excuses, first of all. Anybody, you know, if the pieces are really worth, let's say $25,000, there's not a dealer out there that is going to say, oh no, I don't want that furniture if you're going to sell it. Why didn't they give you a low offer? Why didn't they offer you, you know, $1,000 for all of it to make 25 times that value? I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. So, you know, oh, it's in the eye of the beholder. Are they just trying to, you know, get rid of you because they don't want to be bothered with your furniture? If that furniture is really worth $25,000, say, then, you know, they're not going to just go, oh, nobody wants it. All these other excuses sounds like they don't want it and sound like they don't believe it's worth $25,000 because if it were, they'd give you a low value. They'd say, I'll give you $1,000 for it, and then they'd try to flip it for themselves. And another question that I get over and over again is something like this one. Hi, Dr. Lori. I have Beanie Babies. I have a few of them. I don't know what they're worth, but I'm willing to sell them. Okay, first of all, as an honest, ethical appraiser, I do not appraise something and then buy it. That's unethical. It's not good for you. I don't think anybody should do it. Okay, that's the first problem. The other problem with this is, you know, you have Beanie Babies, you don't know what they're worth, but you're ready to sell them. Okay, well, this is not a great approach. This is not too smart. So, you know, this person's going to go off and just sell them at any time. You know, you wouldn't go and sell your car without knowing what it's worth. You wouldn't sell your house without knowing what it's worth. You know, those are things. And on the other side of this, you wouldn't go into, well, a jewelry store, for example, and go in and just swipe your credit card and pay for something and not know how much something costs either. How much is that diamond ring before I give you my credit card? You know, this kind of thing. You know, I guess there are some things that I would you know, basically pay for without knowing the price, like chocolate bars, like I do that. But, you know, all kidding aside, you've got to know. You've got to know what they're worth before you decide that you're going to sell anything. That's important. Hey, Dr. Lori, you know, I have this big collection of one type of objects, you know, pick a type of objects, you know, vintage toys, and I want to sell them, and I want to sell them to one collector, and I don't want that collector to resell my collection of vintage toys. Okay, well, first of all, you know, you don't get to dictate when you're selling something. You don't get to dictate what the buyer is going to do. The buyer can do anything that they want once they bought the collection. So that's going to be a little bit hard pill to swallow for a buyer. Say, oh, well, now that I've sold it to you, you know, it's kind of like you go to the grocery store. Do you go to the grocery store and you buy a carton of milk and then you get to the cashier and the cashier says, oh, well, you can buy this carton of milk, but you can only put chocolate syrup in the carton of milk, and you can only share the carton of milk with your sister but not with anybody else. You can only drink the carton of milk with the chocolate sauce at 8 o'clock in the morning. You can't have it some other time. Hey, they bought the piece. They can do whatever they want. So, you know, you're selling it. You've got to let it go. Now, getting that one collector in a particular place at a particular time for a particular price to buy your collection and keep your collection intact, that's a tall order. And when you're trying to sell, that's not the actual mentality you should have if you're trying to sell a collection, especially if you're trying to sell it to just one single collector. Not going to happen. I get questions like this. Hi, Dr. Lori. Do you know anyone who buys whole collections? Okay, whole collections of what? So give me a little more to work with. Do I know anybody who buys whole collections? It's like asking, do I know anybody who eats food? You know, a lot of people do a lot of things. So do I know somebody who buy whole collections of what type of objects? Of, you know, of bowls, of wax fruit, of Beanie Babies, of, you know, glass, of what? So that's what we need to identify when we're asking these questions. So first of all, yeah, people do buy full collections. However, it depends on what that collection is, and it's going to depend on some of the characteristics of that collection, right? So what type of condition is it in? How many do you have? Is this in vogue right now? Are people looking for this? But if you want to sell something to one person, the whole collection, you got to do a little bit better when you're asking me the question so I could help you. So I'm trying to help you, but you got to give me a little bit more information. Here's a winner for you. Hey, Dr. Glory, I want to know, where do you sell jewelry at the prices that you appraise some of this jewelry at? I can't seem to get a third of these prices when I'm selling on eBay. Okay, well, first of all, what type of jewelry do you have? I'll ask the same question again. Do you have fine jewelry? Do you have costume jewelry? How are you actually marketing these pieces of jewelry on eBay or anywhere else? Have you tried other platforms? Okay, fine. Should I go to a local auction? All right, I don't know why you jump to a local auction when you're trying to sell online first and you're not thinking of going elsewhere online. Online is not the problem. Local auction. Okay, so is the local auction, does that local auction specialize in your type of jewelry? Whatever that is, which I still don't know because you didn't tell me. Okay, so, all right, does it specialize in that type of jewelry sales, right? What kind of commission do they take and all that good stuff? Are they a livestock auction, for example? Do they usually sell cars where the jewelry wouldn't be appropriate? So you've got to find out that kind of information as well. And then you have to think about, what are the good times and the good places to actually sell something. So, for example, here's an example. I grew up in New England, right? So, basically, aren't you surprised when you don't hear the ice cream truck coming by? So the ice cream truck comes by in the summer and sells pretty well. It's a pretty good market in the summer in New England. But in the winter time, kids are on break the same way they're on break in the summer during, say, Christmas break, during holiday break. You think they'd like ice cream too. Well, guess what? In New England, in the winter, ice cream and the ice cream truck are not doing many sales, and you're not hearing those bells for the ice cream truck then, because, of course, it's not a good time for that because it's freezing cold and nobody wants to go out and eat ice cream or get out of their house to be in the cold in New England at that time. So while it would seem like it might be the same market or it might be a good idea, it's not. So don't go directly to a local auction in this case. You've got to do your research and find out, is there a specialty auction? And why are you just saying no to all other online resellers? And are you marketing the piece correctly? Are you selling it at the right amount, at the right time or the right season? Are you actually doing all you can with making sure that listing is attracting other buyers? I teach this stuff so you can understand what to do. But basically, if you're going, oh, I can't get a third of these, well, all my values are based on actual sales records where somebody has paid that much for those objects. So basically, other people are getting it. Why can't you? I think it's because you're too quick to move off of one platform onto an auction or somewhere else. You got to make it work. You've got to make it work. You got to give a little time too. This question is always fun for me because I think it's just, it's pretty silly if you ask me. Okay, so the question that I get asked all the time is, where do I go to sell items? And I live in, and then they insert where they live. So let's just say any town, USA. Okay, so where do I go to sell items? First question, what type of items? What type of items are there? It implies when you tell me where you're living that you want the convenience of selling them somewhere near you. You don't want to really be bothered with selling them away from you. You want to sell them in those places. So what kind of items is the first thing? What are you looking for? So what are you looking for in terms of which items do you want sold? All right. So the other thing that I think people don't understand with this question when they ask it is, it's kind of like you could have all different types of items. You could have a lot of different types of items. So if you want to resell these items, if you want to sell these items, then think about where you would have bought those items, right? So go back to the place where you would have bought those items and see if you can sell them there. Well, that's a tip, that's an idea. But the thing about this, oh, I'm in this place, so I want you to make it very convenient for me to sell all these different types of items, really doesn't take into account what really is happening today when it comes to reselling. The internet, for example, selling through social media, and a lot of the classes and a lot of the videos and a lot of information on my website help you with answering these kinds of questions. So if you want the convenience of it, and you don't want to identify what items you want sold, You got to ask a better question. Those are some of the selling questions that I get over and over again and have been getting and have been answering over and over again. I hope they help you. I'm Dr. Lori. See you next time.